All right. Welcome to another episode of the Placing People First podcast. Before we meet today's guest, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Bridging the Gap Recruitment. Bridging the Gap offers recruiting and executive search services. Their team of recruiters have decades of experience with thousands of placements. They're always recruiting. If you're an employer, they may have qualified candidates ready for you. And if you are looking for a job, feel free to send them your resume and they will actively market you to potential companies. They offer a 7-day guarantee. The guarantee is if they don't have a qualified candidate to you in 7 days, you will save 50% on your placement fee. You can learn more about Bridging the Gap at bridgingthegapus.com. And with that out of the way, let's jump into today's guest. Really excited. We've had some fun conversation off air already. So let's jump in. Bob, why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Devin. I'm Bob Jordan. And the day job is run a company called InterimExecs, one of the partners there. And I think we'll also be having some conversation around a book we just released called Right Leader, Right Time.
Love it. Well, thank you for making time for us. Our goal in this is to provide the listener as much value as we can when it comes to people. And that includes team members and or yourself as an executive or business professional. And I know we're going to get into some meat because there's some cool stuff you've been working on. Let's talk about the company a little. Tell people what you do and kind of where your focus is with your company.
InterimExecs is a global matchmaker. Organizations around the world get in touch with us when they have a particular leadership need in the C-suite, meaning CEO, CFO, CIO, CMO, those kind of roles. Whether this is called interim or contract or fractional or project, this is not the same thing as permanent recruiting. And in fact, interim and fractional has become its own specialty.
Love that. And I love that you're playing in that space because it seems to come up more and more, and it allows you to be more agile, I'm betting, where you can get in and solve a problem quicker than trying to find that long-term hire. How'd you get into that? Give us a little history.
Okay, I'm going to give you the story, Devin. I'm your classic entrepreneur, and I had dropped out of graduate school to start my first company, which was publishing a magazine. I started the first magazine in the world that covered online services and then eventually internet. I was only 5 years too early before the World Wide Web. That was not a great move in terms of roaring success, but eventually it put me, the magazine started growing very fast, and it put me on the Inc. 500 list, which is a list of the 500 fastest growing businesses in the US. So I published the magazine for a number of years and then sold it to a big publisher and was kind of wondering what I was going to do with my life. And fortuitously, I ran into a guy at an online conference, and he had this really weird job title. He was an interim CEO, and he handed me his new business card. And every time I saw him once a year, he had a new card, and I thought, geez, this is weird. But he handed me the new card. The new card said CEO of Yahoo. And this was at the start of the internet bubble, Internet 1.0. And in the industry, we all knew Yahoo was going to go public on zero revenue, not zero earnings, zero revenue. So I took note, and I thought, this is amazing. And I asked him what the deal was, and he said, well, you know, these venture capitalists were not going to give some rookie engineer a big check on their own when they hadn't done it before. And he said he had a team and he would parachute in with the team. This blew me away. And so he told me more, and I kind of said, you're now my mentor. And I came home from that one chance meeting, and that kind of made the rest of my career. I came home and I bought 2 domain names, interimceo.com and interimcfo.com. And I hung out a shingle and started doing projects with early stage tech companies, and did that for a lot of years.
Love that. Well, thank you for the story. I think it's insightful being an entrepreneur and talking to entrepreneurs that they understand where we're coming from. And it's awesome to hear success and then that chance meeting. There's a lot of stories like that where there's that aha moment, or hey, I was on the subway or I was grabbing coffee and I heard this and it sparked something, or it validated what I thought was good. And so it's so cool to hear that. Talk to me about the book. You've recently published a book. When did that come out? What's the title and what's the concept?
So the book, Right Leader, Right Time, Discover Your Leadership Style for a Winning Career and Company. This came out of research over the years. Well, let me back up for a second. So I used to do gigs, and then, social networks came on strong. LinkedIn, Facebook, originally there was something called MySpace. And he started wondering how many people in the world had this weird job calling like I did. And so we created what eventually became InterimExecs, this company. And over the years at InterimExecs, we've been approached by about 7,000 executives from 50 countries. So we developed ranking and scoring and screening, and we noticed two very distinct patterns. One pattern, a little bit disturbing, was that the majority of the executives showing up were experiencing careers and leadership journeys that you would say, well, you would just say, Devin, that they were okay, but they weren't like, oh my God, this is amazing. Then on the opposite end, looking at the top 1, 2, 3% of leaders, they were exceptional, just remarkable people on remarkable leadership journeys. And among that high set, we saw 4 distinct styles of leadership. We gave them 4 names: fixer, artist, builder, and strategist. And that's the reason we wrote the book. We wanted to write both the cautionary tale, which were people who were trying to be kind of all things to all people, and that never works. And then also this ability among higher performing executives, which was that they were exhibiting different kinds of leadership style.
Love that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the bad first. And then what we'll do is we'll dissect each of the 4. And I know we'll probably talk about your FABS leadership assessment. So FABS, FABS, for those of you who are listening or want to write that down, that'll be the acronym that we're going to talk through. But let's talk about the bad first. So on those leaders that came to you and you're talking to them, what are the triggers that make you scratch your head or have pause when you're looking at potential leaders?
The first indicator is a lack of measurability or much accountability. So let me give you the flip side, something really good. When someone shows up and they've been the president or general manager or CEO of, say, a business unit at a company, and that business unit or company, say, went from 100 million in revenue to 500 million over 5 years, and that person was presiding there for 5 years. Well, we know it's not just a solo effort, but that's a measurable, accountable result. The flip side is that for folks who are managing, but there isn't much to show for it, there is not much progress that can be measured or held to account. Or in the case of something, if it was in bad shape and someone was trying to save it, again, are there any metrics? And if there aren't, there just isn't much you can hang your hat on. And so, this falls within, a description that we would just call it, jack of all trades, master of none. We've all heard these kinds of phrases, and none of us are good at everything. This sounds so obvious, but there are a lot of people out there that where more focus would benefit them greatly. This is really easy to say. It's very hard to do.
I love that. And it sounds like there's two lessons for those of you who are listening, right? Lesson 1, KPIs. And I think KPIs seem to come up on just about every podcast or piece of content I've created, because you have to have a measurable, right? You have to be able to not just say, yes, I flipped the company and it's doing great. Well, what does that mean, right? Like what was bad, what was broken, and then what were those numbers, right? Was it unemployment rate, turnover rates, revenue rates, gross, net? In oftentimes we talk revenue because I do a lot in the sales space. They talk gross, and it's like, well, that's great, but if you grew gross and you're still negative, I'm not sure that's a great story to tell. So I love that you mentioned KPIs, and then to your point, right? You can't be great at everything, and the leaders that try to say they are, usually there's something there that's missing. So good takeaway.
Yeah, it's interesting in different aspects of life. We're completely comfortable with measurement. We all love sports. Well, in sports, I mean, there's got to be a score. There are rules and there's a score. And at the end of the game, somebody wins and somebody loses. And it doesn't mean the losers are bad people. They just lost that game, you know? But in business, that's not a universal. We identified these 4 winning styles. We also identified 3, you could call them pillars or commonalities between exceptional executives. And one of them, we just described it, the successful leader is a leader that doesn't hide. They will seek to be held to account and to have measurable results. And none of us are perfect. It doesn't mean that it's always like that, but we're so used to it in other aspects of life, like sports, which is there's no sense to the game if there is no score.
Love that. And I love that example of being, transparent and accountable, right? And it's not always going to be positive. And I think leaders need to understand that, right? You're going to have moments where you're in front of the board or the ownership group going, hey, that quarter didn't work as planned. And here's what we're going to do and pivot and learn from that. But again, if you don't have the numbers, it's hard to have that conversation and have some clarity. So let's jump into the FABs. Why don't we talk through one, and then maybe I'll ask you some questions about that one, and then we'll move to the next. So F, what does F stand for, and what are the key indicators there?
So fixer is the leadership energy. It is the style. Well, it's the person that loves running into the burning building. Fixer, though, this energy is they run into the burning building time after time. See, all successful leaders are faced with crises and problems that have to be solved. The key thing with the fixer is this is the driving dominant thing that needs to occur in their career. So I don't want to pick on, well, we'll get to a certain famous person when we talk about artists, but that's the wiring of fixer, which is it's an adrenaline charge from turnaround, from saving broken client relationships, a broken division of a company, a broken company itself.
Love that. So am I assuming or interpreting that correct, that the fixer is that person that their weakness is probably the longevity? Like they're not that person that's going to ride it for a decade. They're the one that's going to come in, crush it, and hand it to someone. Did I hear that correct?
You're spot on. The fixer, there's kind of an alter ego to each one of these if they run amok. Fixer unchecked, there was a infamous executive named Al Dunlap. His nickname was Chainsaw Al. He came into a company called Sunbeam, and they weren't doing that great. Well, yeah, sure. He came in and he immediately fired half of everyone there, and eventually there were accounting irregularities. It went too far. So that can be a problem. Fixer energy, though, even when correctly used, one of the fixers we interviewed for the book, he said his worst day was the day he left, because they know they have to leave once they have solved the problem and the turnaround is in place. But he says it's a very sad day because here you've bonded with a team and you've gelled and you accomplished incredible heroic feats, and they can handle it themselves, and you need to move on. He described that as a devastating day, and can understand that, right?
Love that. Okay, good takeaway. What about the A? What's the A stand for?
Artist. Artist is the energy that sees the world as a blank canvas or as a piece of clay to be molded. The standout example in the world today is Elon Musk. And I'm specifically referring to Tesla, SpaceX, and the Boring Company, because we really should give credit to Elon here that somewhat single-handedly, his envisioning of electric vehicles has changed really the pace at which electric vehicles are coming online around the world. The same is true about space exploration. It really was viewed as like, oh, governments are the only entities that can afford this. And the concept now of privatized space travel is very real, thanks to Elon. I was going to pick on him before because he's the cautionary example of why leadership style matters, because as you and I are recording this, Devin, we're in about week 6 or 7 of Elon owning Twitter, and it's not going so well. And this is misapplied fixer energy.
Love that.
It's the cautionary example, even among someone great, that none of us are all things to all people.
And well, and I think it's a good tale, right? And he's had some failures in there too, if you look deep. So the artist, can we drive that into a small market business? Like, what would an artist look like for a mid-sized business? Like, what would that personality trait, or when would they come into a business? Well, give me an example that, you know, that mid-sized business would be able to relate to.
So yeah, and to put a little more color on this, the artist is the renegade. The artist is the outsider. This is the person on your team who is disagreeable, or just, they're not the easiest person to get along with. To give you a big company example, one of the artist leaders we interviewed was a lieutenant to Andy Grove. Andy Grove, arguably the most capable, outstanding leader that Intel has ever had. Intel, you know, world leader in semiconductors and chips. And Andy said of this leader, he said he was his wild duck. And he said, you have to have a wild duck on your team. And in a way, he didn't mean it as a compliment, because here he had all this brilliant engineering mind, you know, how do we get more transistors on a chip? It is just this relentless engineering approach. And somebody had to be this outside point of view that was bringing in a different kind of innovative energy into the team.
Love that. Okay, so that makes way more sense for the artist. Okay, I love that. Go ahead, keep going. Yeah.
So we all have artist energy, by the way. A lot of people think, oh, I can't draw, you know, I couldn't get whatever. But this creative urge is human. It's with all of us. It is a huge drive for many entrepreneurs in their own companies. You see it everywhere. Anything creative is going on in any size company.
I love that odd duck analogy though, because I know for every one of my companies, I love that. I always love listening to the perspective that's not normal, because there's a lot of insight there, right? And what I found is a lot of entrepreneurs and business professionals like to say, well, you don't understand. You don't understand my business. It's different. Well, okay, no, it's not, right? Like 80% is the same, 10% industry, and 10% your imagination, right? And what I love is I love that when people come in with that outside perspective from your industry and maybe tie something in that's going on really well in another industry, you see things change, right? And it can change a whole industry. And I think Elon shows that, how he comes into an industry and goes, well, what if? Well, what if we tried that? Or what if this industry did that? And everyone else goes, well, that's not the norm, right? But sometimes there's some validation in there. So that it's cool to identify that, and then also to know, hey, you might need that, right? To not go stale. What's the B stand for?
If you're in a business where you use the word stale, if you're in a business that is stalled, feels stagnant in any way, it's missing artist energy.
Love that. So that's a good trigger.
If it's completely crashed and it's chaos, it's fixer energy. But if it's a matter of stagnation, you need a wild duck in there.
Love that. Okay. So talk to us about the B.
Builder. Builder is the energy that we all want this. Everybody in organization is where I'm a builder. Got it. We need a specific kind of energy in builder, which is the kind of leadership that takes the smaller, the nascent product, service, client relationship, team, and drives it to market domination or scale. One key indicator of that kind of builder energy is that when that leader has reached that scale or market domination, you'll tend to see them rotate off the team. Could be they hit an IPO, but it tends to be at that point, it's not going to fuel that builder anymore. You will tend to see them go back, start with new team, new product, new service, and do it all over again. This does not mean only Oh, it's world domination. I spent a bunch of time in Boston. Home for me is Chicago, but I spent a lot of time in Boston. And there is, to my mind, a standout bakery in Boston. It's the greatest bakery. It's only in Boston and the suburbs. It is dominant. It's not only great, but it's dominant in Boston and the suburbs. And at the heart of that business, there's a builder.
Love that. How do you separate builders and fixers? Because I feel like there could be a little bit of synergy there in mindset of growth. What separates those two, or is this a distinguishing factor?
Well, first of all, to be clear, we're not trying to pigeonhole anybody that you are only one thing. That's just not the case. Anyone in a leadership role is calling on a wide variety of capabilities and skills to do what they need to do as best they can. What we see, though, is there's infinite variation between people. And so these four styles, fixer, artist, builder, strategist, in a way, we kind of would liken it to DNA. DNA, all of us, is just four different proteins, four nucleotides. That's it. But in infinite variety, whether it's your Aunt Mary, the turtle that's walking across the road, your favorite oak tree, it's all just infinite variation on these four different kinds of proteins. That's the way we look at leadership. And our point is that among exceptional leaders, usually you will see a dominant style or a dominant and a secondary. And what tends to happen over the course of someone's career is that that successful person is doubling down more and more within the style that keeps on proving to be better and better for them and for the organization around them.
Love that. That's a great analogy. And I was guessing we were going to go that direction. So it's good for people to know that you're not just one, right? You have pieces of them, but you have a preference probably, or something you find yourself to. And I'm learning a lot. I'm digesting myself and going back through some business stories going, okay, well, I'm starting to see a trend. So let's talk strategist. That's the last letter. So what's the strategist?
Strategist is the leader at scale. Strategist is the leader who is trained and usually cross-trained within complex or very large organization. One of the leaders we interviewed for the book was the Undersecretary of the Navy, the Department of Defense. Brilliant woman, Dr. Janine Davidson. And to hear her describe, you have an organization more than 1 million strong. Your leadership role involves how you are trying to influence systems of systems. And there is so much in language around strategist having to do with loyalty and mentorship and your growth over years. And that language simply does not occur to fixers and artists and builders. Strategist is a leader where you're beyond, Stephen Covey, the author of 7 Habits, he had a phrase, he said, personal span of control. Strategist is leading in a way that is way beyond personal span of control, which is you just cannot know everyone there and they can't know you. And so it's not going to be based on personal trust. Conversely, fixer, artist, and builder, generally you're going to see those folks, the team size is 5, 50, 100, maybe 200. But usually that kind of energy, there is reliance on personal relationship and personal trust that is going to advance that team.
Awesome. And again, I love your analogies. It makes it easy for listeners to understand where that applies or where it may apply soon, right? Because I could see that builder building up and then they're going to transition. And as that organization blooms, you're going to need that strategist that can then manage the bigger systems, teams, flow, everything that comes with that. Yeah. So talk to us. There's an assessment you mentioned. Is it out? Is it coming out? What's the assessment?
The FABS, so FABS Leadership Assessment, FABS stands for Fixer, Artist, Builder, Strategist. FABS Leadership Assessment is about to come out on a website, rightleader.com. And we'd welcome all of your listeners and viewers to take it. It's free. It's about 3 minutes. And when you finish, I'll tell everybody up front, we're going to ask a question, which is, did we get it right? So that we can get some feedback here. because we are premising now based on a lot of interviews, but I wouldn't say it's the same thing as science, as statistically valid. So to give you one example, Devin, we believe that fixer and builder energy is linear, meaning most fixers tend to take on one company at a time, one troubled team, one troubled organization. Builders tend to be laser focused on one team that they're going to drive forward as fast as they can, okay? Artist and strategist, we think, are parallel. A lot of artist energy innovators, I can tell their wiring if I just ask one question, which is, do you need to work on more than one project at a time? Because if the answer is yes, there's artist energy in there, right there. So not to pick on Elon, but he is the example, because we would say that SpaceX and Tesla and the Boring Company, he needs to do that. That's the way artist energy works. Then we look at, real artists, if you've read about Leonardo da Vinci, or you read about a famous painter like Monet, they're working on dozens of projects or canvases at the exact same time, and they need to. So that is an anecdotal thing, and we want to get that backed up by science. So we were talking before we started this about what our goals are, and so I have a goal to validate or see how this needs to change or whatever based on results from the assessment.
Perfect. So great takeaway for everyone. If you want to help Bob and help his team take the assessment, keep an eye out for when that comes out, and let's validate, right? And let's get some feedback and understand that. So I think already at this point, we probably have equipped people to identify some red flags that maybe you have if you're a growing leader, or if you're the business owner hiring leaders. We've identified character traits, which I think is great, and when those people might make sense. Let's ask a couple questions just around staffing. So bad hire, how do we identify a bad hire or avoid a bad hire? What's a couple tips there?
Well, as you asked that, it reminds me of we interviewed a number of organizational psychologists to ask, are we crazy? What do you think of this idea, what we're doing with this? And one of those psychologists, he said, to be great on a team, you have to be spiky. Like, what do you mean spiky? And he said, well, if you were looking at a graph on paper, you saw all of these skills and abilities and traits you need in a team or an organization to be effective. Well, no one has all of them. No one is spiky across the board. What you need to be effective in the team is you just have to have a couple spikes that are going to be accretive to the team. And Devin, your spikiness is going to be different from mine. And that's how we can add together and be powerful. So, the days where, and also for whoever's managing that team, the days where a manager could just kind of go, hey, how you doing today? That kind of casual oversight is not very helpful, and it is not accretive to most teams anymore. So even the folks who are leaders, they need to be spiky. They have to be additive to this effort.
That's awesome.
So I'd say one of the red flags for sure is, does this person have a unique contribution to this particular team in their situation right now?
Well, and I love it. So that's what I was going to say. So it seems like if you're going to make a hire, and I think a lot of people, especially young business, right, early in the stage, they make emotional hires, right? Like, I'm overwhelmed, I'm out of time, out of capacity, I need to fill a hole, and I'm going to fill it, without taking the time to assess, which is exactly what you just said, right? What do I need? What skill sets? What supplements that the team doesn't have? And then the flip side of this is maybe go to your whole team and understand if there's a skill set or trait that you're not leveraging, because that I see a lot, and I'm sure you've seen that over the years, where they may have an A player sitting in a C seat, and if they just moved them, they would be an A. Like, they could crush it, but they're not leveraging, and to use your analogy, they're not leveraging the spikes, right? They're not identifying, well, where do they supplement? So that's a cool analogy again. And I think if I heard that right, that's how you're advising, is understand the holes and make sure when you're hiring, you're asking the questions to identify, does this person fill and supplement what we already have?
Yeah. To give you an extreme example, Devin, and I know you and your colleagues at Bridging the Gap. I mean, you're expert at sourcing and hiring. We interviewed fairly high up executive at Google, and Google, you think of their role in the world, and it's kind of relentless automation, right? Better and better, faster and faster, searching all of these products that they have. And this manager had a team, couple hundred Googlers, couple hundred contract staff, which is big by Google standards. And their mission was to obsolete themselves. They would be assigned a project, 12 to 18 months, to automate something that had been done by hand before. And Google is relentless about this. And if you had the attitude as a manager or a leader or worker there, which is, oh my God, obsolete, I'm working myself out of a job. But the expectation at Google is the better you do with that, the better you will do on your next project. It's not that you were going to be fired. It's that you were trying to make the organization better and you would move on from that. It's a radically different mindset, though, in terms of work and hiring and your role on a team than our parents or grandparents had, where I'm going to work at General Motors the rest of my life. Right?
Well, and I think that plays into that kind of abundance versus scarcity, right? Like if you've got that scarcity mindset and you're trying to be defensive, you're probably not progressing in your position, role, or company the way you could be, versus that systems and process. Again, another great analogy. And I knew you'd have a lot. I could tell by the first start. So I'm going to ask two questions that I ask everyone I interview, and then I'll kind of open it up if there's anything else you want to add. So the first question I like to ask is, on your own journey as a professional, what's something you'd wish you'd learned sooner, or you would tell your younger self?
Oh, I wish I would have embraced me sooner. I for many years thought I was just a mess. My wiring is very artist energy. I'm really creative. That's the plus. The minus is that on the team, operationally, I'm not the greatest person. And so I, for years, just thought, why do I continually fail? When I finally figured out, if I was a better collaborator, if I was better collaborating and really seeking out strong partners who were operationally great, things would be better. But it took a number of years to figure that out and to really say, I'm enough because I have all of this energy, so long as I'm on teams and collaborating in a way where everyone's adding their own genius. It sounds easy now. It was painful for a while.
Well, it's hard. It's hard when you're trying to identify you, right? And I think we have so much pressure now from self-help and motivation and all this stuff that tells you should act, be, or do something in a certain way. And I love, one, you've given us the ability to understand, well, there's a lot of ways, and each of those is applicable. And so I love that you're open and honest with that. And I think we all can identify a time where we're like, man, if we just pressed in and owned that, it would have been easier than trying to adjust, pivot, and fit. And so that's a great takeaway. It's a great message. And, it gives younger people, and not just younger in age, just younger in your journey, permission to maybe own where you're at and be okay with it, and maybe stop trying to fit and find out how you could surround yourself with things that supplement. So great takeaway there. Let's talk about books and podcasts. I love books. So what's a book recommendation? You've mentioned a couple through here. Obviously, you have a book that I'm going to recommend. We'll put links so people can purchase that. What's a key book someone should read?
I'm a fan of Second Mountain by David Brooks. It is about, if you consider the first part of career, it's about status and money and power and succeeding, all totally fine. And Second Mountain is about what you do when you are seeking meaning and significance. And it was a revelation for me because I listen to a lot of books on audio. And as I'm listening to this, I'm walking around listening, and I realize, because I've been around people industry and interim execs and all that. And I realized at some point, it's like, oh my God, this has become a calling. Like the word commitment. I am so committed to this. It's no longer about the money. It has nothing to do with the money anymore. That it is just, I'm driven to do this, and I get so much purpose and joy out of it. And so Second Mountain, it's a great book.
That's an awesome recommendation. I haven't heard of that one, so I'm gonna have to check it out myself. Always at the end, love to open it up. Is there anything regarding people, staffing, team building we haven't covered that you think people need to hear? A lesson, a takeaway, just something else you want to add?
I would very much like a message to people like you, Devin, because you're young, people earlier on in the journey, that the world seeks to commoditize all of us. It just does. It's kind of a relentless force, and especially when you get into leadership roles or you're attempting to do something which is different, and there's a kind of relentless commoditizing force, and you have to resist it. Resist it.
Give us some more. Tell us more about that. I want to go there for a minute. So
Well,
what's that look like to resist it?
I'll tie it to one of the biggest takeaways we think from our book, Right Leader, Right Time, which is exceptional leaders tend to reject more of what is not for their highest and best use. And they do that more and more the further their careers go on. It's very easy to say. It's incredibly hard to do when you are early on in your career. When you are early on, you need the success, you need the money, you need the role. You got to get out of your parents' house. Everyone's like, come on, get with it already. And so it's highly unlikely that you're going to say no to things. The more success that occurs, the more confidence that comes to you, and where you can see the things at which you excel, what we would call leadership style, you have to double down within that. And we just see that among exceptional people, they tend to reject more of what is not for their highest and best use.
All right. Well, if we end on that, that's a win. So how do you want people to connect with you? If they want to learn more about you or your companies, where should they go? What's your preference?
They can go to InterimExecs.com and find me, and that'll also have links to the FABS leadership assessment. Awesome.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for your time and your insight in sharing your story and your successes and failures and what you've learned over the years. There's so much content and so many takeaways in here. I challenge those of you who are listening. This is probably one you're going to want to listen to a couple times. And as always, I hope you have a notebook somewhere nearby. Take some notes and make sure you're implementing, right? Don't just passively listen. Make sure you're taking some of this to heart. Take one thing and do something with it. So, Bob, thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Devin. It's been a pleasure.